please stop having relations on the band bus. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Marching Arts Podcast, your guide to all things marching. Today's going to be a fun one because we are scrolling on Reddit.
Heck yeah. I feel like we're in that in between DCI and marching band competition slash BOA. So it's just a good idea. Just since we don't have many topics, we shouldn't just force things. But I mean, Reddit is such a cesspool slash innovative area of social media that I
Well,
think we'll
I mean,
find
you can get a
tons
lot
of
of good things
content.
from it
Yeah,
because, we're not in the general public.
that's true.
So,
Well, Reddit is
um,
not the general public either, but
but it's a lot closer.
mm,
Eh.
okay.
Anyway, so we're going to pull up one of our favorite Reddit pages for marching band and kind of just scroll down and see what we find.
Yeah, it's literally just r/marching band. And today is August 10th. So like if you don't see some of the things that we're seeing, probably because this episode will be coming out in 3 weeks or something. But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna look at the top posts in the subreddit. We'll make sure to shout out um the the whatever person OP just so they get credit for coming up with these threads. Yeah. So I guess we'll start with the very first one, and oh boy, is it a doozy!
And it for on this first one posted by Wait Rare 4235,
Vibraphone player,
vibraphone
nice.
player.
I played
Yeah, nice.
vibraphone senior year.
Uh, PSA, please, dear God, stop fornicating on the band bus.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Or as a lot of people, at least our age, know it as no hanky panky.
I didn't say that. There goes your boomer side again.
I know it. I know it. I'm so old.
The fact though that they had to say this, but everybody knows what they're talking about, I think just goes to show that yes, there probably had to be a PSA. But I do find it funny that the very first comment or the top comment in this thread is, "Wait, this is actually a thing." Like,
And it's got almost 600 upticks.
yeah. So I guess like there are probably some bands that actually don't. Well, let me rephrase that. There are some programs that have kids that never get caught, and then there are many other programs where kids do get caught, whether it be by other students or by their fellow peers. Um, so I guess what was your experience at your school regarding all the PDA and the adult business?
Well, I think that I mean, there was definitely people that were all about it
Hmm.
and some that definitely weren't. Like everyone listening to this right now could probably think of three people from their high school band that were very PDA
Yeah.
oriented. Um, and it definitely translates. um, but regardless of what you choose to do, if that's something that like you're doing at that age, please don't do it on the bus.
Yeah. Or even
Wait till
more
your own
basic, please
time.
be safe.
Yes, please.
I mean, we get it.
Uh,
People are teenagers. We were teenagers once. We had the exact same thoughts. But
yeah, now we're dinosaurs, but
yeah, like you learn that control is a very valuable skill
yes,
that you will use
self
for the rest of
control.
your life. Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, I'll admit, like I made out with a couple people on the band bus and just had good times. But like also like if you're having full on sex, which is say it, like that's a lot of work in a very small
That's
space. Especially with bibbers.
like I'm not
If you're
about it.
wearing if you're wearing bibbers, that's a whole another ball game of like clothes. So I
Well,
guess
I guess it would depend on the situation. Like maybe it's a super long drive type thing, and they're not wearing the bibbers. I don't know.
I guess, but still like yeah. I mean if you're a chaperone or a, staff member, Like, yeah, it sucks that you have to mention this, but you always have to mention it. And, I don't know. Like, did your school have any rules that had to be enacted, or was it just like, eh,
I mean, we had rules,
right,
but how many people followed them?
right.
I don't know. So, um, please stop having relations on the band bus.
No friendships allowed whatsoever ever again.
No more friends. You can't have friends.
Yeah. All right. So, great to know that some things never change in, the band world. I guess like you can never take the teenager out of high school. So no matter what activity, I will say it is true, very true when like people are like, "Oh, you band kids were the freakiest kids." Like, yeah, what do you
Yeah.
expect? It's some usually around 100 plus people, all maybe not bored, but there are lots of downtime to get to know other people.
Hmm.
So that's your own faults, adults.
That's your own fault.
All right, but
I
yeah,
like this next one too,
yeah.
by the Legend of Code Avatar.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that I don't know. Um, but the meme is I really love wind. I want to
Hey.
really have my stand and all of my music ripped away from me while I'm playing.
Meanwhile, all the chads that are like, "Why don't you just memorize your music?" Duh.
That's the point for when you are memorizing your music.
Yeah. It is funny
I
though. This is posted in
relatable.
a marching band subreddit, so like I would get it if if you were just a concert player and you were doing a concert outside. So then yeah, I would understand why you would have your sheet music on a stand. But if you're in a marching band, why isn't your music in a lyre?
Yeah. I mean, but also like some lyres, the music will still pop out. Like those little metal things that hold the music on there sometimes don't do a
Oh,
very good job.
well, need to get better lyres. But I also
Yeah,
love the
yeah, we're
top.
better liars.
Just get
I'm
good.
James. I know all
Yeah,
about the liars.
yeah, just get good. But I also love the top comment. It was just, this is why marching bands memorize their music. Like, who could have thunk?
Yeah, yeah, and that's why you and I both are still confused as to why people will still march on the field with their music.
Yeah, that is very confusing. I mean, I get it. Like, some people just need to take more time to learn music or memorize it. But also, I think your band director might not be setting you up for success if like you're not taking the time to learn the music before you try to put it on the field.
I guess.
Because
But
like,
I guess that brings us. I guess that point though kind of brings us to this next one on here. It's a passive aggressive band
yeah,
teacher
the public
post.
apology.
It says, yeah, it's a public apology. Number one, I apologize for being a mean, demanding, and slightly obsessive music teacher. Number two, I will try to be nicer in the future. Number three, number one and two are lies. Number four, go practice.
Yeah. I mean,
And
they're forgetting a really big one. Uh,
oh, what's
Next
that?
time will be the last time,
Yeah,
or one
next
more
time
time.
I promise will be the
Yeah,
last rep.
or just one more rep.
Just one more time.
Yeah, that
You
should have
run it
been
back, make sure it wasn't a mistake.
yeah, or three times. If you do it perfectly 3 times, that'll be the end of it.
And that three times turns into 10, as we all know.
Yeah.
Mm. Man,
Um.
how was that with indoor though? Because I know with like normal marching, you'll get the 5, 10 more times, but I'm sure it was
mm.
more like 30 to 40 with the drum line
Well,
in
it's
indoor.
indoor too. It's a much smaller group, so like there isn't as much. Um. I don't know how to put it into words. I guess like in indoor and winter guard, I think it's a much more professional setting where like you're expected to know all of your stuff. Not beforehand, but like after say I can't really call it camp, but like you can't really call it spring training either because season starts in February. So maybe like those like first 2 weeks of like learning, you learn the drill, you learn the music, Um, and then like visuals and whatnot come later. But since it's such a small group of like 20, 30 people, um, practices are usually just like, all right, let's like warm up, we'll chunk it, we'll focus on small things. Now let's put it all together. Okay, we ran it with the metronome, now we'll run it without the metronome. Okay, that wasn't quite clicking, so let's run it with the metronome again. So there was never any points of like, ugh, we have to run it again. It was more so like we only have um 2 hours and it's percussion, so like you gotta spend a lot of that time warming up.
Right.
Um so a lot of it was like we all knew the urgency, and I guess because my program, like we wanted to be competitive. Um and again, like it's indoor, so you gotta make that commitment of like I want to be there. Usually there aren't nearly as many kids in indoor winter guard where their parents are like, you have to do that because like there's marching band already. And indoor and winter guard again have additional fees. On top of that, you gotta commit a lot more time to that already after marching band. So, I guess the point I'm making all the way down this windy river is that we didn't really feel like we we had to deal with like just one more run, just one more run. It was more so like, yeah, let's do one more run because this will make us better.
Yeah, I guess fair enough. You have to be a lot more precise
Yeah,
um,
yeah, because you
with
are,
your run. So
yeah,
so rather than doing another run for another run's sake, you guys were doing it because it would legitimately make you better.
yeah, and we would have like competitions almost every single weekend. So like, if you're not putting in the work, like your scores will reflect that, and then you'll really get
Right.
reamed by your director. It was like, what did you do for a week if not practice?
Right. Right. Absolutely. Um, this next one I think is a pretty good one.
Yeah, we could talk about this for days.
Yeah. Um, the post says, as much as I love my marching shows, they do kind of feel like this way. And the image posted is the three dragons photo. Um,
Well, it's
and one
actually
of
one
them is
dragon.
music. Yep, the two like more defined dragon heads is music and visuals, and then the third goofy one is storytelling. I think this is a really good one to talk
Yeah.
about because in an episode that we posted with Christian Stefanos, um, we talked about drill writing, how that fits with the show, and how important that is. There's a lot of times where you'll have great music and you have great visuals, right? But um, the drill's great. However, putting the two together, the story makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the music doesn't match the drill, or vice versa, or um, the music doesn't match the drill, or the theme's not there, right?
Well, I think
Those are some big things that storytelling will do for the band. That puts things in perspective for everyone else to kind of make it seem like, oh, this is a really good group. I can understand where this story is going, from start to end.
I think for me the biggest culprit is the fact that you need to hit so many elements in your show, and I feel like directors are probably feeling a little constricted on what they can and can't do. So you always have an opener, you always have a ballad, you always have a closer. You have more rigidity, uh, not parade blocky, but you have more solid shapes in like your opener, and then
Yeah, you have lines and squares.
yeah, your ballad is always like more circles, waves, more abstract ideas, and then your closer is usually just like, all right, let's see how fast we can march our butts off and throw in a ton of visuals.
Right. And I think but also, I feel like that is an unspoken rule that has developed. I don't know as if it says that anywhere that directors have to do their shows that way. And
um,
I think, well, I could be wrong.
right.
If you know otherwise, please correct me. But um, this still brings up that good point where it's like if the music's not matching the drill's not matching the music, however you want to put it,
Right.
it really puts a negative impact on the show
Hmm.
as a whole. because it doesn't make sense.
But also, I feel like
um,
sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, chorus will be like, yeah, let's just do this abstract thing. And so, like, everything about the show will be abstract. Here, I'll pick on one chord, Blue Devils. Like, a
mm,
lot of the years, like, you don't really get the story. And so that's why I think a lot of people, like, don't like Blue Devils because yeah, they are the best at their technical performances and they have really great visuals and they sound amazing. But like you just don't understand the show. And maybe there's some people out there probably like, well, you need a certain IQ to understand their shows. But for the
yeah.
general public, it's like, nah, we need a story to understand.
Well, and then there's cores like Phantom that do a really good job of telling a story, but the
Yeah,
other stuff's not as exact.
right. So I guess it's each to their own. Is that the phrase?
To each their own.
Yeah, but I'm sure most people would like a story that they can understand and follow and see the payoff to the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that was a good post. Good post.
Yeah. What was your like favorite story show out of your 4 years?
From 4 years
High
college or
school.
high school?
Yeah, because college really
Uh,
doesn't do storytelling because it's more so just like let's
just
do
entertainment.
yeah, just entertainment.
And that's why I was asking because I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Man, for high school, my favorite one. Honestly, my favorite one probably have to be my senior show when we did Les Mis.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that
Um,
story is just written for you right there.
it was written for us, and and our director um, had a really good. Um, I forget his last name. His first name's Jason. Um, I forgot his last name, but the guy who wrote our
Schwartzman.
drill. Huh?
No, it's just a silly meme.
Oh, um, did a really good job of coordinating his drill to match the music, and our show was phenomenal.
That's good.
Um, and it went from it started with the um the French uh anthem,
Right.
and then went into Angry Men, the song of Angry Men,
Hmm.
transitioned into Master of the House, which was my favorite part because I was the Master of the House.
Right.
And then went into the revolutionary scene, and that was
Nice.
it was really well written. Um, and and I don't know. You asked me what's my favorite. That would be it. I could go on and on and on about it.
Right.
What about you for your school? What was your favorite storyline show?
Again, probably my senior year. I'm pretty sure it was called No Strings Attached. So we all started as like puppets. Um, and then like the guard were like the puppet masters. And
Mhm.
so our first movement was Dance Macabre, because we're puppets on a string. And then our middle or our ballad was what's really famous? Is it to Kelly? Um, the one that plays at like 9/11 memorials.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Um, I think it was in Schindler's List.
Still not ringing a bell with me, man. I'm sorry.
Let me pull it up real quick, or not pull it up, but let's see. Ba, 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 ba. Adagio for strings. That's what it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, so then like that's like us realizing that we're sentient and we don't want to be controlled and there's more out there than just being puppets. And then our um closer was a mixture between Marriage of Figaro and
Arrow.
Or maybe it wasn't Marriage of Figaro. I can't remember. Gosh, it's been so long. I feel old.
Remember, we're old, man.
Yeah. But it was a mixture of like a modern song and a classical song. And then we're like, oh, we're free. We're free from our masters and we're all having fun and moving as a unit. So I think that was probably my favorite story because, again, like I had mentioned in an early episode, our my first 2 years, the band director was from like the 70s. Like he hadn't led a marching band since the 70s, so it was very much a entertainment show. So all I did
Mhm.
was like play music from like the 80s or the 70s, or play movie songs, or like movie theme songs. So like yeah, those were fun, but they didn't really have a story. So yeah, I guess again to each their own for that.
To each their own.
I guess that's my new phrase. Oh boy, you love this next one.
Which one is this?
The picture of the guy with the tornado in the background.
Oh, sorry, I scrolled on a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Um, yes, but I do love this one. Um, it's a comment that says, "Should marching band be considered a sport?" With the picture of the guy with the tornado in the background. That says the comment section. Um, and I mean, we could go into it, but yes, marching band's a sport.
Okay, so the top comment is we get a full art credit and half of a sports credit for it at my school. So let me ask, did you get any credits for being in band?
I got art credit, but I didn't get any sports credits.
Oh, really? Let's see what happened. At my school, I believe we did get sports credit for marching band if you did it every year. You didn't get health credits though, so you still had to take health.
Yeah, I
Um,
had to do. I still had to take health. Still had to do PE and everything
mm,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, we got credit for PE. I think that was changed like when I got there, so that was really nice. I still ended up taking weight training because like you can only take so many AP classes after a while, and then like once you run out of those, like there's nothing else to do. So I was like, yeah, I'll just take weight training. Why not?
Right. Go
Um,
lift some weights.
yeah. And then mine is blanking. But yeah, it was nice to be able to get credits for doing all of that strenuous outdoor activity, no matter what people say.
Absolutely, but everything aside, marching band's a sport. The
Hmm.
effort, the practicing, the heart rate, the sweat, the
Hmm.
dedication and hard work that goes into it. It's a freaking sport.
Right. Oh yeah,
Um,
somebody's making a good point in the comment sections. They're saying like if cheerleading is a sport, then marching band is a sport because they're both do the main functions of supporting a football team. But they also
well,
have
it depends.
competitions.
There's um
Well, it
there's two
started
different
as
types
that.
of that though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess it
because there's
started as supporting football teams.
because
Now I
there's
know there's like
cheerleaders. Yeah,
competitive.
because there's cheerleaders and then there's competitive cheer.
Okay, but you can say
And
same thing about marching band. There's competitive, or there's marching band for football games, and then there's DCI.
well, right, but those are totally two different levels. There could be a cheerleader that does both.
There could be a band person who does high school marching band and does DCI.
I guess.
Well, I thought you
I
would
guess
agree
that's
with
not a
this.
valid argument. Yeah, I guess that's not a valid argument. But still, marching band's a sport. I think we all agree.
Yeah,
I think all the listeners, viewers of our podcast would agree that marching band's a sport.
yeah, I would say so. I agree. All right.
Um, no, we got the next one.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is what don't you understand? It's a picture of Squidward with a janky circle, making a circle during drill, versus making an eating circle during lunch break, and it's SpongeBob with the perfect circle. Oh
I
boy.
find that very funny because that is very true.
Because I think it has to do a little bit with like not peer pressure, but not wanting to listen to somebody telling you what to do. So here's what I mean by that. when you sit down in an eating circle, you all sort of just tend to make perfect spacing between everybody. So everybody is equally part of the circle, unless there's that one kid that nobody likes and they like force them not to sit in the circle. But I digress. Meanwhile, on the field, you have your seniors, your juniors telling people you're out of the circle, you need to fix that. You have a staff member telling you you're out of the circle, you need to fix that. And I know as teenagers, we don't like having people tell us what to do, especially when we think we're right. And that is
Right.
more often than not. Um, and so again, especially since you don't realize at the time, but you can't really trust what you're seeing from your vantage point. It always has to be usually somebody up at the tower. If you're lucky, if you have a tower or on the podium, more so, I guess. So I think that's why circles can be much more challenging when you're being told to make a circle.
Well, also when people are teaching the circle out, to your point, out in the field on a podium, um, they're not they're it's not the only thing that you're worried about because
Yeah,
you're worried about marching correctly, looking correct, playing the music right, everything else,
yeah,
versus when you're just sitting around with your friends to eat lunch.
yeah.
Um, you have much less things to focus about. And also, they're not using the terms like focalize and dress your circle, which can confuse freshmen when they hear dress your lines and
Yeah,
then they say dress your circle. And like, what does that mean?
right.
But this is a circle. How do I dress a circle?
All right. So here's a controversy, as British people say. When do you switch from always hit your dot to dress?
I think when, as a director or someone that teaches drill, I would make that change after people can generally get to their spot. Once we're able to move without looking at the sheet or we're able to get there a couple of times,
Hmm.
um, I would start making that distinction of like, hey, don't worry about the spot. Make sure you're in the form.
Okay.
Um, because at that point they know where they're going. And if it
Hmm.
doesn't line up, it doesn't line up.
Hmm.
But if it's not the exact to the centimeter location, that's fine. But you have to match the people around you.
So I guess I would probably say I'm the opposite. I'm such a stickler for hitting your dot because you really don't have to dress if you hit your dot. I think honestly, dressing should only be something. Okay, so I guess let me distinguish between like competitive marching, so high school, college, or not college, high school and DCI. Just always hit your dot. When it's like a competition, you should learn the skill of how to dress, but only do that for the competition and maybe do like a few practice runs of just dressing because obviously you can't like put that out there, learn how to dress on the spot. Um, but again, I think like if you just drill into somebody, this is your dot every single time for every single spot, you really shouldn't have to do dressing because dressing can get really messy sometimes, especially with curves. Because if everybody is constantly adjusting to the person to their right or something, that curve can look way wonky. And like, especially when you're making symmetrical curves on a field, then like it's not gonna be symmetrical if like one half of the field is dressing really hard and one half of the field isn't. But for college, like, who cares? So yeah, just dress
Right.
so it looks good. I mean, like, if you don't hit your dot, nobody's gonna come and fire you from your dot
Right.
or from the marching band. So
My like I see your point where because that makes sense, right? If
mhm,
everyone it was always hitting their spot, then you wouldn't have to dress.
right.
But the important thing for me is if everyone just hits their spot, then no one's paying attention to what's happening in between the forms because that's also very important. And then to me, also, just from a memorization standpoint, if you tell somebody to memorize their spot, they're going to memorize something on the ground. Like they're going to see, ah, here's this crack. I need to stand on this crack. That's my spot. But then when they get on a field,
There's
they
no
don't have
crack.
that reference point
Right.
anymore. What do? They're like, I've lost my visual reference point. So I think it's a natural thing to try to dress your line. Once you generally know where the spot is pretty close, then dress
Hmm.
your line to make sure you hit it exact. But but you make a good argument about dressing a curved line. It's hard if say that second person in line gets into the wrong spot, then the entire rest of the line is
Yeah.
messed up.
Oh,
So to that point,
it bugged me to no end when like there would be that one person at the end of like a curve and they tell everybody else to fix the curve based on
and they're
them,
the one
but
that's
they're the
wrong.
one
Yeah,
that's wrong, and it's like, but you know they're technically right because they are the one that starts the curve. So even
it,
if they're wrong,
right.
they're technically right. But
It sucks.
geez, Louise,
Definitely sucks.
yeah.
Long story short, that's why it's easier to make a perfect circle when you're eating than out on a field.
Hmm. All right, this next one. Can somebody explain to me why this man is marching a set of tubular bells? Oh, you
I
sweet
think
summer child.
actually three things about this photo.
Right.
So number one,
His
I
poor
really
back.
dig this person's hair
And their sunglasses.
and sunglasses. So like this looks real cool. This
Hmm.
um looking real fly, but then also their poor back.
Yeah, so what? That's what, a 30-degree angle? Maybe a
And
20-degree
then
angle?
how heavy are tubular?
Let me look up how heavy chimes are.
Like full size chimes, because it might
Yeah,
give you the little like
yeah, the
wind
baby
chime
ones.
thing. Yeah,
Let's see. We got the standard Mooser Classic chimes, $4,000, 130.
you're carrying a whole nother person. Like Sousa's are heavy,
Yeah.
but they're not even that heavy. So his poor
Now
back.
this is
And
probably
look at the
a
strap.
half
I
rack.
just noticed this.
Yeah, he's
Look at
got a
the
strap in the
strap.
front. It's a seatbelt on his lap, literally, while he's walking.
Well, I'm talking about the one just above that.
Oh, I thought that was just like the cummerbund as part of the
No,
uniform.
look, it's attached to the instrument.
Oh, are you talking about the metal stuff?
No, no, no. So go between the metal stuff and and the seat belt. That's a strap. That's attached to
The
the
three
instrument.
white lines?
Yeah, look how it's attached. Look how to what it does to his uniform. That's not part of the uniform.
You don't think so? I think so, because like
No.
if you look in the background, there's the guy in the far right. He's got three little sashes, or he's got that white line on his body.
Yeah, but that doesn't look the same. Maybe I'm wrong. But no, I think no, no, no. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right. I take it back.
But yes, the crazy metal contraption that's around him is literally welded together. Yeah, that's
That's
insane.
crazy. Can you
My
imagine trying to put on that carrier?
Jeez, like, do you just have like somebody lift it up on top of you? I'm sure it's not like the full weight of like the classical, on a concert hall stage weight, but it's gotta be up in like the 50s, 60s weights.
Yeah,
Um, but my band director in middle school, he marched timpani for cavies, I want to believe, back in like the 70s,
that's
and he
crazy.
had the biggest timpani, so he looked like his back was fine. So I guess
Mm.
he figured out a way how to do it. But yeah, I
I
would
mean, I
like
guess
to.
you get. I just guess you get used to
Yeah,
it.
I would like to know. I would like to meet this guy and have him on the podcast and be like, "So how's your back doing, bro?"
How's your back?
Yeah. Um.
um.
Yeah. This just reminds me of Kennesaw and how we don't have a pit or a front
Yeah. No
percussion.
kidding.
So it'd be funny if
Do
like
you
the
think a
new
pit's
direct.
actually like necessary though?
I don't think it's necessary, but I think you can do so much more, especially now with electronics being much more entrenched in marching bands.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. A lot of college bands at least do the like rock band thing.
Yeah, with the guitars and
Um.
basses.
Yeah. Um. But I don't know. I like a good pit.
Oh yeah,
I think.
shout out to the new directors at Kennesaw.
Yeah.
They just started this week, right?
Yep, they started this week. Band camp for them is in full swing. I'm gonna try to go see him. I don't know when though. I guess the only day I really can is Friday.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's and first black director.
Yeah,
first Asian director.
yeah.
Um, it
And
was
it's
pretty
us
cool.
being diverse.
Yeah, and apparently very nice people. I'm looking forward to trying to meet them, say hi, but I know it'll be band camp, so I don't want to get in their way.
Mhm. All right, I think we should do a special episode of us like on a field and just trying to march with all these different instruments. Because I bet you
I
somebody
mean,
probably has a set of these bell or chimes, and somebody probably has a marching timpani. And I think it'd be fun trying on like a snare drum or even a quad.
watching me try to do it, at least you could probably make it make sense, but like I have zero idea.
Okay, but also like you know how much smaller I am than you. Could you imagine me trying to march with like a seventh bass?
Like a seven, base seven or base
Yeah,
five.
like dear lord, how do you? I would be leaning back so far.
Be you be doing the hip thrust thing.
Yeah. But I think marching band might be the one valid point where our parents slash grandparents can be say, "You guys have it so easy these days."
Yeah, they might be onto something there.
I mean, obviously they had to pay for it with back pain and debilitating knee pain and leg pain, but I guess back then even back then they had to deal with boomers of saying, "No, you can't have stationary instruments on a marching field."
Yeah, right. And then there they go. And then like where the pits used to march, like marching marimbas and
Yeah, like
and
bells
vibraphone.
and yeah.
So,
All right, up
oh
next.
man, let's try to find us one more here. Let's see. I'm scrolling way down. Let's try to find a good one.
Trying to find a good one. Well, then why don't we just find the top post of the year?
Top post of the year. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
It's loading for me. So it is a picture. What the one we're going to end on today is a picture of a music stand standing in its glory.
Yeah, and it's the good, solid
Um,
black plastic one, not a metal one.
yep. My Wenger is the
What would
company.
you call me?
I called you James.
Oh, okay. Sound like you said wanker, but you know.
Wanker. Um, but the comment on it or the title is I found it, a non-wobbly solid
Solid.
music stand that isn't dented in any way.
Anyways.
Anyways,
Okay, they say
that
that, but I've never seen these stands be dented. Have you?
I've never really seen them be dented. It's the
Are they
metal
talking
ones
about?
that are dented
Yeah, are they talking
because
about
that's a
maybe like
plastic one.
the shaft? Because I could see if like that got dented, then it'd be really hard to like pull it up and down. Oh boy,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop there before I get too ahead of myself. But
But I think in this case they were probably talking about
the
the
actual,
actual stand,
huh?
and this one's definitely a plastic one,
Yeah,
which isn't gonna really get dented.
yeah. I will say these would sometimes get really wobbly, but the easy fix was literally just tighten the
The screw at the bottom.
yeah, to just tighten the screw. So like they even if they would start to get a little screwed up, you could fix them usually pretty quickly. Even if like the if you needed to tilt it and like it refused to tilt, you could just tighten the screw on the
Yep.
hinge. So yeah,
I remember when people used to think that people were like engineers if they knew how to fix a mic stand or a music stand.
I mean people still think that. Like come on, like Google is a resource, but somehow people refuse to believe that Google is a resource.
But all in all, I think there's some interesting things that we could probably scroll on here for hours, as a lot of people
Yeah.
do.
I mean, we
um,
could have sorted everything by controversial. That would have been interesting to see. Or just see like the most controversial comments that people make. Because,
maybe we can do that on a next episode.
yeah, it's true.
Um, But all in all, I think there's some interesting things we could go down here, but I don't, we don't want to make this a 3 hour episode.
Yeah. Oh, this new one that just came out on Hot. That's pretty funny. It's Sully um, from Monsters Inc. and the caption is "A gust of wind comes through the band." It's Sully like doing the perfect, but and then it switches to the color guard and this like Sully with PTSD.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the guard is hearing Vietnam flashbacks of the guard instructor be like, "Just fight through it.
Yeah,
It's just
and
a
then the
little
band
wind."
standing there with their arms in the air, yelling "Breeze appreciation."
Yes. And everybody's favorite was the cloud on a cloudless day.
Absolutely,
Yes, everybody
absolutely.
just staring at the cloud, waiting for it to come over the sun.
Hmm. It was always
Which,
a double bonus when you got a cloud and a water break.
yeah. Okay, which one do you think you appreciate more? The screensaver when it hits the corner of the TV, or a cloud on a cloudless
The
day?
screensaver,
Yeah, still the
the
screensaver.
screensaver. Yeah, I can get over the heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screensaver, 100%. More satisfying than the cloud.
Well,
Absolutely.
we
Have you
should.
seen the video of the somebody photoshopped that into like a video of a football match
Oh
and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the pub that it was at
Yeah.
went nuts when
Yeah,
it
that pub was a meme for such a long time, and it's still a good meme because like you can do anything you want with it.
yeah. So
We'll do that. We'll do a marching arts podcast logo screensaver, and maybe one day when we do a live stream, we'll just have that bouncing in the corners, and people will be like, "Go on break, go on break," and we're like, "Why do you want us to go on break so bad?"
we wanted to hit the corner.
We'll be like, "Yeah, we'll give away something if it hits the corner to a lucky listener."
Yeah, right. We'd have to get a lot more listeners for that one.
Yeah, one day,
Maybe one day.
maybe one
Hopefully
day.
one day. Also, DCI board, if you're listening, next year,
Yeah, next year.
if you need official commentators,
Yeah.
you know where we are.
Or just put us on flow marching, just boost us up
Ye-
like that. We'll pay
and
Debbie, we
actually just
swear.
have a real conversationalist podcast
Yeah.
about more than one thing.
But I think that's gonna do it for us today. It was fun looking at all the memes, and I always like memes
Absolutely.
because there's always if not an inkling of truth, but nothing but the truth in them. So keep it up, those of you posting those memes on the subreddit, and I guess this has been the Marching Arts Podcast, your guide to all things marching. Oh wait, socials. We have socials too at the Marching Arts Pod. That's POD.
We have socials.
Go follow us if you haven't. I think like our subscriber to non-subscriber listen rate is like 80% to 20%. So a lot of you aren't subscribed. So go ahead and do that. But yeah,
Do it.
again, this has been the Marching Arts Podcast, your guide to all things marching.